We are live. Seems to. Let me just double check. Yeah, we are
Yeah,
live.
yeah, cool.
All right. Hey, Kai. Is that how you pronounce your name? Kai?
Yeah, it's Kai, correct.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah.
Nice to see you. I think
Yep.
this is the first time that we meet, right?
Yes, it's the first time. So actually, I'm also quite new to the mentoring program. Yeah.
Oh, so how long have you been a mentor?
It's just I think since September only. So it's it's
So a
really
month? 2 months?
2 months. Yeah, quite
Nice.
quite 2 months. Yeah.
How are you liking it so far?
It's cool. I'm starting to like trying to get used to it, to involve and like put myself into a position to do something for the community, and yeah.
Nice. So I'm gonna go back to you in a moment. But first, while we wait for more people to join, I am gonna start talking about our latest followers. Hi, we already have someone from Twitch. Yay. So our latest followers, I'm just gonna like read the ones that I can see here. I think I already read Pankaj. We have Adrian, Suraj, Shivani. Thank you for following us. I know she was with us some streams ago and she said that she didn't have an account, so she was going to follow us. Yay. Thank you for that. And we have people on LinkedIn. Hey, Vijay. Tumu, Lurikum, Suraj, Prativ, um, Maya, I guess. And finally, Iva Gran. I'm sorry for just butchering every single one of your names, but here are our latest followers. Thank you for following us on Twitch. I really appreciate it. So that was basically what I wanted to say. And we have more people on LinkedIn. Hi, Aggie. Nice to see you again. Hi, Goody. I think this is the first time that we're actually streaming on LinkedIn, Twitch, and Twitter, thanks to Sabrina Hockett's suggestion. So now we're gonna keep doing that for I think the rest of the streams, every like twice a week to see how that works. So hey, Kai, again.
Hi.
All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself before we start. You said you were a MuleSoft mentor about 2 months in the program now.
Correct.
What else can you tell me about yourself?
Well, I would start just that. Yeah, I'm Kai from Germany. So I live in the northern part of Germany, close to the Baltic Sea. I yeah um, work for Integration Matters also in Germany, and I'm doing yeah all the mule and integration stuff pretty much since like 3 years now. And I was a former web developer, so like kind of integration, but on a different level, I would say. And yeah, I'm totally into tech, IT, do-it-yourself projects, and everything like this on the side. Mostly like all this like developing part is like what I'm mostly interested in, and yeah, so that's the biggest part of the background. And yeah, for like what I do beside all this techie stuff, is like if you know like wakeboarding, which is like water skiing just with a snowboard for water.
Wow.
So when I have free time, I try to do some other stuff too, not only IT. Yeah.
So you're saying that you don't code on your free time? What?
Like most of the time actually I do, but sometimes like you need some other stuff.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that, Kai. That's great to know. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. So should I share your screen now,
Yeah, you
or do
can.
you wanna? Okay. So what are we gonna do today?
Yeah, so the topic is like migrating from hybrid to Runtime Fabric with MuleSoft, and also like what can happen during this migration. Like when you talk about like going from one environment to the other, um, it should be quite seamless, but there's always sometimes at least some difficulties, which I've experienced in customer projects. So that's something I wanted to share with you, and like the whole community is like, what can we avoid in the first place, or what we actually need to think about coming from hybrid, especially. I don't think that the differences from hybrid to Cloud Hub is bigger than hybrid to RTF. So like these are quite similar target environments. Um, but there is something you can like some parts you can do better in one or the other environment, and some parts which are like a little bit harder or more complicated or not possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I wanted to show you guys how to do this with a little bit more background. So we are going to actually set up an like a simple RTF cluster with Azure AKS. Not directly step by step, but I will pretty much show everything as I've prepared stuff, but we will actually start by creating a simple Kubernetes cluster and installing RTF. And besides, I will, like when we come to the points, I will talk about what is the difference here and what you need to actually look for when you are coming from hybrid. So yeah, just going to search for the Kubernetes here. I hope it works this time. I checked before.
If not, that's fine. We can just troubleshoot it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. So I don't know if like when you're familiar with the whole Azure thing, then it's quite just daily business what I'm doing now. But like sometimes, like when you haven't seen it, it might be interesting. So let's see where we can actually deploy. I think Germany West Central is okay. So we want to have 3 nodes, which is just according to pretty much every cluster setup you should use is just to avoid split brains and all the stuff like this. We are going for a smaller machine here, as we don't have enough cores, which doesn't matter for our sample setup. MuleSoft recommends for a cluster at least have 16 gigabyte of memory, which will sum up 3 times 16 gigabytes of memory and 3 times the 2 cores. So you end up with pretty much 6 cores and a lot of memory. And that's pretty much it. We don't care about all the other settings here right now. It would be important if you do it for production setup, but for simple test, it's not that necessary. It will be deleted afterwards anyway, so no security concern here. So everything looks fine. Let's just create it.
You need a paid account to do this in Azure, or can you do it with like a free account?
I'm pretty sure you need a paid account. I'm not sure if it works with free, like for the free contingent. But yeah, I'm glad to have a company account, so
Yeah.
I asked to if it's fine today to just have it for this demo. So, and while this cluster is creating, we are going over to the Anypoint platform actually. And as always, like creating servers or whatever, we're just creating the runtime fabric. And we say, okay, our cluster will be called stream. And we say we have an AKS cluster here. So you have different options for Amazon, Google. New is the OpenShift, which came with RTF2. And so, yeah, we need to accept that we don't get any support for the AKS instance itself. So that's something we need to accept here. And then we are getting the next page where we can actually select how we want to do this. For this demo, I will use the RTF control tool. As like Helm, I'm not that like familiar with, and it's a new option here. I think it came also with RTF2. So what we get here is an activation key. This key is necessary for us to actually install this RTF, and it will connect back the RTF installation to the control plane. And we can see, I hope we are getting here our new cluster. So it's still creating. Yeah, then let's see. I've already have the command line here to pretty much start everything, but I need actually to wait for the cluster to come up. And one thing that we can actually say at this point already is that we cannot do domain projects in RTF like in Cloud Hub. There's domain projects are only available for our hybrid installations and not for RTF and not for Cloud Hub. So you need to, like remove this dependency out of your project if you want to actually migrate to one of the cloud solutions. Yeah, that's pretty much the biggest thing I would say. It's like if you cannot remove it, then it's bad.
So you have used AKS for your projects, or this is the first time that you are trying it out?
No, I have already used AKS for projects, and yeah, it's just the Kubernetes control plane at this point. So afterwards, it like if you have an AKS or a GKE or whatever Kubernetes installation, it's pretty much the same underneath. And using the RTF CTL and the kubectl, it's like there's no difference.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Also, anyone watching, feel free to ask any questions. I think you can only write on Twitch or LinkedIn. So if you're on Twitter, you can just go to our Twitch channel that I just put here. It's just easier to find because LinkedIn is just weird sometimes. So you can go there. If you create an account, you will be able to write in the chat. So send us any questions that you may have, or if you already follow us on LinkedIn, feel free to go there. And if you find the live stream there, you can also chat over there and we will see your questions here.
So, well, it takes a couple minutes, but I think it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, actually.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm just saying it 5 minutes past, and now it's succeeded.
Awesome.
Which is nice. So, yeah, now I can connect to this cluster, which like I'm already logged in the Azure command line tool. So I can just use this short command to actually connect to this cluster. And it now added all the configurations for Kubernetes for me. and I can check this with kubectl, like get pods to show which is what is running on this cluster, and we have just a standard installation. Is it big enough actually, or should I zoom in?
If you can zoom in, that would be nice. I think it is visible, but it's always better to zoom in.
Yeah, so I think this might be better.
Yeah, that looks good.
Awesome. Okay, so we can see everything is running so far, but nothing, mule related. So now we can actually use our command. Let me see, it was here. So this here is only the activation key, and you have the RTF-CTL, which is well documented in the Muse of documentation, and RTF-CTL, and you can use the command validate with this key, which is specific to the RTF we are creating. So you always get a new one. And now you can see the nice check marks. So everything is okay, which is checking for, do we have enough capacity for CPU, enough capacity for memory, and all this stuff. We don't need to worry about the errors and warnings here, which is coming from the tool, but it's not related to the cluster. It's just related to the commands, I guess. But it doesn't, it's not an issue for us. So it's the most important part, I would say.
Yeah, I think almost everyone ignores the warnings. It's like if it's not an error, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, okay. So now validation is complete. So it shows everything is fine. We can actually proceed with the installation. It states here. And it's pretty much the same command. It's just instead of validate, we say install. And now the command tool is doing the installation for us. We don't need to do anything here. Instead of like we just need to wait. And will take a couple seconds, I would say. So now everything is on the cluster already, and it's just starting the containers. And we will soon see in our command no, control plane, is it? That we actually have a cluster connected here. Yeah. Next part will be that I just apply our license. I will do this in a different terminal, so this will not be visible for you guys, but as this is a enterprise license, I'm probably not allowed to show it.
Security first. That's fine.
Yeah, so we just still need to wait a couple seconds. So yeah, so it's just creating right now, depending on the internet connection. I think it should be good in Azure, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I always love when people use their terminals because every terminal is different. I have never seen a single terminal that looks the same as any other terminal. Like everyone has their own colors or their own like kind of someone is using, I don't know, Bash or
Yeah.
what's the other one? O algo así. Something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think this is the first time that I see two terminals, one on the other one.
Oh, yeah. It's a feature I use quite often. Actually, is makes it way faster to work. You know, like when you don't have to hassle with the Windows. And yeah, this is actually the Windows terminal for and an underlying Ubuntu installation. So yeah. Let's
Yeah,
take.
when I had Windows, I used to do something like that. I don't even remember what shell I was using, but yeah, I remember that I was able to use the Linux commands there somehow.
Yeah. So now we have actually the information from the tool is Runtime Fabric is ready. Yay. And we should see an update here in our control plane that we are actually having our RTF running. It's registered already, so that's cool. It takes a couple seconds, up to 3 minutes is the scheduler timer for pushing data to the control plane. So we just need to wait that everything is fine here. But yeah, it's a pretty, like if everything works, it's a pretty worry-free installation. But if there's an error, it will be bad to debug like what is the issue there.
Hopefully it works.
Yeah, so let's see. Oh, I think I just got locked out, man. Not cool. I'm streaming. Okay, so we just log in again. So we have the runtime manager. Okay, runtime fabrics. Oh, now it's already active. That's cool. So yeah, we got the information. Our cluster installation worked, and can head over to associated environments. You just want to use this, this RTF for our streaming environment. That's where we want to deploy our applications to, and just assign this really quick. And now we can head to the inbound traffic, and it just says we are not having any inbound traffic. So the difference at this point is we need to do something to actually allow traffic to go into our cluster. So when we have a hybrid installation, you have the server somewhere, you can just point everything to this IP address, or have a reverse proxy in front pointing to this IP address, and everything will just like consume the data. You know, like there's no nothing which blocks it out of the box. And here we need to actually add endpoints, which we do with Nginx ingress. And there's a configuration for that where we can like do this pretty much for all our applications. So it works also differently from what we are used to when we are doing hybrid. Hybrid is like you need to configure everything yourself, pretty much like for like every API. And in the Kubernetes cluster, it's working pretty much out of the box with like a general template. And that's a general template you can see here. It's a little bit modified for the stream. So what is important to say is like you also need to do all the configurations you would do with a reverse proxy or your firewall, whatever, which is limiting the input stream. So what you can see here is we set the body size to 100 megabytes. So when you're posting data to an API, which is really big, I think the default is about 1 or 2 megabytes, which might be too small when uploading images, whatever. So that's something you need to, at this point already need to know and take care of, is that you need to do all this HTTP improvements or adjustments at this point. And we also have a retime out here, which says, okay, how long is the API allowed to respond to this connection? It's like 60 seconds might not be enough. In this case, we used 900 seconds, which might be a little bit overkill, but that's something you would probably adjust to your environment. And which is an important point for me is the server alias option here. It's like we want to have like our, let's say, production URL, which is streamaks.integrationmatters.com. And that's the one we are using in our hybrid installation already. So everything points to this domain. But we also want to test our migration setup, our RTF setup. So we add a second URL, which is pointing to the same one. So we can actually like use the alias URL to connect to our APIs afterwards. And at this point, it's important. It's like you can't just point the domain to the ingress or like the RTF and say, okay, just take it, and with the correct path it would work. It's like the ingress will just say, okay, I don't know what to do with this domain, so it just gives you back in 404. So yeah, that's, I think, two of the most important things at this point. And we need our environment ID here already. So in the RTF, or yeah, you do have like your applications are deployed in different namespaces based on your environment. So that's why you need the environment ID here to apply this template to this environment. So you can have different templates for different environments with different settings. So you can adjust it. And you can actually get your environment ID with the API manager. So that's I think that's the easiest way to get it. I haven't found a different, better way. It's kind of a workaround. Like there are other ways where you can get it, but I think that's the easiest one. And now we are just changing it here. Saying, okay, this is our environment ID, saving it. And yeah, we will apply it later. First, I actually haven't applied the new license ID. Give me a second. Just doing this right now. So license is in there. Okay, now we add an Nginx to our installation. As yeah, this is required for the step. I'm using Helm. I just said I'm not that familiar with it, but it's the easiest command. So for the sake of speed, I'm just using it. I'm adding the repository and then executing the command to. This is actually the command to just like you can find it when you just Google install ingress with Helm. And you can see on the bottom where I'm watching the pods, it's just creating our containers here. We don't need to do anything manually here. And the configuration itself is afterwards done with the template I've just shown you. So yeah, looks good. So that's called Ingress Template Basic. Okay, I'm just waiting for this containers to finalize. So they are currently in the state 0./1, which is also interesting point when you're debugging an RTF or looking at an RTF. 0 from 1 means probably the container is not ready yet. For mule applications, there will be a different status. I will show you afterwards. But now it's running, so we can actually apply our config here, which we do by kubectl apply -f, which was ingress template basic. So now we have our settings applied. I hope so, at least. Let's see. Looks. So I can just look into the ingress container and see if it recognized the new configuration, which he is necessary to use. And it says, yeah, okay, I've read something. I'm getting an error here, which is okay because I haven't defined a default backend, so something where it should point to in case he can't find anything. But as for the test, it's not necessary. And so basically, that's the basic installation you actually need to do. So now you are at the point where you can say, okay, right, I want to test my RTF. So and I prepared something for you. So a small demo API, which is actually like I try to say, okay, we have an like an hybrid installation, so where you would probably have a specific port set. It's like on hybrid, you can't have like two APIs on the same port if you're not using the domain project. And so we are just saying, okay, you haven't used the domain project and you have an API with a specific port, which is in this case 19999. And I can run this application locally and it will work. So it's a really basic one, which only has the API kit and two endpoints. One is node and one is status, which only give back like a simple JSON. So, and I will just export this one really fast. Different folder, stream. Oh, that's the wrong one. Desktop. What do you have? Stream. And it's applications. We say it's saved as bad port. So in this case, it you probably know what will happen is it will work locally, but it will sadly not work in our RTF, and I will come to this soon. So I think I'm my PC is a little bit overwhelmed with the work of like having the video, the desktop sharing, and compiling and exporting.
Yeah. Is your battery fine? Because it's happened before that their battery starts dying.
I'm actually on the like connected to the outlet, so it should be fine.
Okay, okay.
So this one is still starting, and we're going here. So go to our applications, and we can say deploy application. That should be a pretty like known step. The SAPI demo port. So, and we want to deploy it to our just created Runtime Fabric and choose upload file. And we are going back to desktop, stream, applications, bad port. And I'm just increasing the memory here. As something you probably know, but I'm just recapping it, is the minimum is 0.7 gigabytes. So an application can be deployed with 700 megabytes. And this is also a difference to hybrid. Hybrid is sharing everything. And on the RTF cluster, like in Cloud Hub, is you're restricted to the resources you give your application. So when you say 2 gigabytes, your application can't take more than 2 gigabytes. But it gets like always 2 gigabytes. So there's no other API which can take like more memory, and my application will have issues because it's reserved at this point. So that's a benefit, but also I'm reserving 2 gigabytes. Like if I put in 10 gigabytes here, I will only have 2 gigabytes for the rest of my applications, which is limiting me at this point. So I can just deploy this, and I hope. Yeah, so this one is already like locally. It's deployed. I can open the console here. And yeah, it works. Like it's showing something, and I can send, and it's like, okay, yeah, hey, thanks for watching, getting the information. That's cool. And we, yeah, upload is working. A little bit slower than normal. Let's see.
So I think I got a bit lost. Why was it going to fail here?
The issue at this point is that our ingress, like from MuleSoft is always, like in Cloud Hub, going to only reach our endpoint at 8081.
Ah, got it.
So when we have a hybrid application which was deployed and working normally on your hybrid, that's one step you really need to take care of, is saying, okay, your port now is 8081 in all your applications. You don't need to change it anymore, so that's a good thing. So you don't need to have like a table where you collect all your ports for 100 of APIs and try to not use the wrong one. In this case, it's always 8081, and that's where you are done. So we can export this too. And so where is it? Desktop, stream, applications, correct port. This is yeah, so correct. So this application is deploying, and we can inspect the logs and everything in our console. Let's see if it's, oh yeah, it's still initializing. So it takes a little bit longer on the first time, while it's actually downloading the jar file. Use it here. So this is the application. Oh, it's going to say it's running soon. Logs. Oh, I copied the wrong one. So exporting and video sharing takes some CPU from my PC.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's so we have this one here, and so let's see. Current status is 1 of 2 is running. I hope you can see this, and we can see. Okay, it's actually in this deployed state already. Yeah, so now it's running. So it's saying, okay, it's 2 from 2, which is a good point, which says like in RTF is doing and check if the application is actually reachable. So this is not something we have in hybrid, like to this point, to this level. And it says, okay, it's deployed, and we can see our address here, and we can try to actually reach this application. And for this part, I'm not adding the domain to the endpoint. I'm just using a hacky resolution of saying, okay, this endpoint, the integrationmatters.com, is pointing to the IP address of our cluster. I need to services and ingress, and I need to get the IP address of this cluster, which is assigned here. Let's see. So links kopieren. So, but it should state, okay, not found, which is okay, I guess.
Maybe you need to put also like the path or something.
Oh yeah, path is here. It's like SAPI demo port v1 API node. I mean, it should fail, but I think it should fail with a different error. So let's see the ingress. Oh yeah, it hasn't actually used my, oh, I know why. I haven't applied the ingress template. Okay, so I forgot to do this because I installed the ingress first. So we just need to do this with apply f, and then it was ingress basic. No, ingress template basic. Okay. Oh, it was applied. Okay. Okay. That's strange. Let's see. So this one is there. Why does it say we don't have an RTF endpoint? Oh, this is in degraded state. So the status, okay. Maybe I've used a different environment ID, but I think I had the correct one. So it looks correct for me. Yeah. Interesting. Now we have the issue we don't want.
As it always happens. No worries.
Okay, let's see. What else we can do is check the ingress again. So actually, like, okay, just let me check. So this looks okay. This looks okay. Stream default backend is also okay. We'll just change the domain to a different one and see if this works. So got the reload triggered. And we need to check. Okay. Not cool.
Just retrace your steps and try to debug in your mind.
Yeah. So that's right. So well, we can still describe what we have here is minus n. Controller class is Nginx ingress, and this is Nginx. So this is correct. RTF ingress is correct. The namespace should also be correct. Okay, it's not getting it. Well, okay, interesting. Yeah. So, well, this is not that important that we can show it's actually accepting endpoint traffic. It would be nice. I don't know why it's not working as the configuration looks right. But yeah, we can still continue just without some yeah insights. So one thing to yeah actually we need to think of is what I just said. Is the port need to be 8081, which is really important for all of our applications. That's the port the ingress will, if it works, route to, and then we can actually yeah get to our application. And similar to CloudHub, we can state that mounted volumes are not available. Like often in projects, you have a shared folder which is mounted on the server, where like 2-3 applications are writing data to, and also yeah, I think my camera just had an issue.
Yeah, but
And
I can still see you fine. You're
okay.
okay.
And yeah, also that yeah, some other APIs or applications are writing data directly into the folder which your APIs consume. So, and this will probably, like, not without some extra work in the RTF, as mounted volumes are not really possible to mount. It's like in CloudHub, there's no way to do this. You need to move to like NFS shares or FTP, SFTP, stuff like this. In RTF, like there's a workaround you can actually use to make this work, but like that's something you should only do if it's really necessary. Yeah, it's possible, just for information. So something you can't do in CloudHub, it would be possible here, but you really need to think if that's a good solution for you. And yeah, so for the ingress configuration, I have also some other stuff. Oh, it's here. No, here. This is our normal ingress configuration, which is doing like some stuff we already talked about. And we have a different option or second option to actually do something else. And I guess some like a lot of people are using the API manager from MuleSoft. And when we have a look at it, and when you're especially running it already for your hybrid installation, which you probably should, you have the policy. Let's add an just fast add an endpoint so I can show you stuff. So this is okay. Fine, save. Just a basic API rule we want to add, which you're probably familiar with, is the client ID enforcement. So, which is here. And the important stuff at this point, that's why I'm showing it to you, is you have the client underscore ID. And the Nginx ingress is per default disallowing underscores in header parameters. So when you have this rule and you migrate to RTF and you have underscores, you need to actually apply a different rule to allow underscores in headers. If you don't, you will always get an access denied because like you're trying to send your credentials, but it's not working. It's not reaching your application. So the API manager is actually like saying, yeah, no credentials here. Another interesting configuration is use forwarded headers. When you were used to have a reverse proxy in your hybrid installation to forward the traffic to the hybrid server, it will like have the settings for the last IP address. So most of the time, like the IP address of the user or the API calling your API. And but now you have in between, you have a new proxy like the ingress, which is adding like the last IP address too. So in case you want to check for like IP whitelisting, which is also an important rule in some installations, you need to use like check what is going into your application and decide if you need to use the flag use forwarded headers to actually see the correct IP address and interpret the correct IP address. Because like it would be an issue when you always whitelist your reverse proxy, and so then you can like just say, okay, we don't need a whitelist anymore if we whitelist pretty much everyone because everything will be the reverse proxy. So really, really important part here, especially for security at this point. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's updated the status now and seeing an endpoint. We will just check. So would make life a little bit easier. At least for me. No, it's still not there. Okay. Yeah, so we'll just ignore this at this point. What we still can do is I can show you like the difference when you deploy an application which is not correctly starting. And that's what we do with the just created API manager instance. So we add auto discovery to our project. Should we say should also be just an easy standard procedure for you. API manager. And I need the instance ID. So this one, check, save, export. Yes. Okay. Yeah, to make this work, what we need to do is to also add the client ID, client secret credentials for our environment, like always. And we can do this to the RTF directly. So in this case, we use the RTF CTL, and we have options to add secure properties, which looks like this. It's just we say, okay, the client ID for our environment is like this, and the target namespace is this one, which we have used earlier on. And then I can say, okay, apply this, and hopefully this works. Yes, it does. And we do the same for the client secret, which is like always coming from the environment we could see early on. And we see it's an unregistered API here. And I can go to the runtime manager. And is it done? Yes, it's done. Okay, cool. and say, okay, we're just using the same application again and upload a new one. So in this case, with ID, everything the same, apply changes, and it will probably deploy normally. In the meantime, I'm just doing a misconfiguration here and saying, okay, API auto discovery. Maybe I made an typo at this point. Just replace the number with an IP ID which is not existing, and then we can see what's the difference now in RTF. Like when we deploy in hybrid, then well, it just deploys and we get a status, okay, it's running. And in RTF, you have this liveness checker too. So it's actually giving you information about if something failed on your deployment, which is really cool feature, I think. You can see if something's changing here. So we see, yeah, so it's initializing. So the pod is going to be deployed. In the meantime, I'm compiling our incorrect version to the same. Yes, okay. And we can, in a few seconds, see the logs again from this application. I think the cluster is a little bit slower than before. Might be the issue also with the
Is that the cluster in Azure?
yes.
Hmm.
So maybe I decided to go with the wrong nodes, which are too slow for this setup. Might be a possible issue, but it shouldn't be. But this is also taking quite long. It's over a minute right now, and like when I tested it, it was way faster. Also now it's going to start, and we can say hello. So the log is pretty much like we are used to in every environment. So there's no big difference, and it shouldn't. Like we are using the same runtime, so yeah, we would expect the logs to be the same. And what we can see is, okay, API gateway is starting, and we have client ID, client secret. I hope you could see it validated against the API manager. So that looks good. That's what we want to see. And yeah, and we get the information. It's unblocked. It's now available. So it could pull and get all the information, status deployed. And what we can see in our application view right now, I'm just doing it a little bit fancier. So this way is we have the API running 2 from 2. So that's what we expected. And that's cool. And now we are using the same application with a different ID, which is not going to work. But we will see it's starting normally like we are used to. But we will see that there will be a difference. And that's the cool feature also with zero downtime deployments, is that we actually don't lose functionality, which I could have shown you if the ingress would have worked. But right now, I can just say, okay, it should work, and you will probably see it in your installation. But
Trust me, I'm an engineer.
yes, correctly. So now we are seeing that the second application is going to be deployed, and initializing. Oh, look, this time way faster. It only took like 4 seconds to get to the next point. So now we can do the same log inspection, and we should expect an error, at least. So yeah, it's starting right now, and it should also connect perfectly fine to the API manager itself, as the credentials are correct. But we should have an issue actually getting our instance, because the instance ID is wrong. And we just wait a couple of seconds. Still see that our first application 2 from 2 is running for 4 minutes right now, and this will be the API which is still live and will still be connected to. And the second one is the one we are just logging right now, and it's still 1 from 2. So now it says it's client ID and client secret successfully validated, and it says is blocked, unavailable, which is what we expected. So now it goes on and it says, okay, it's deployed and it's successfully started. But what's interesting is we still have our 2 applications, and the second one is 1 of 2, which takes there's something wrong. And at this point, something wrong is it's that it's not reachable for the check script. So it does not state, okay, this application is successfully deployed. So whenever you run into this strange behavior where you see, okay, I have the same application deployed already, and I have one application which is still in the status applying, which would you see here. So it's still applying and it's not leaving the state. Like you can let it run for like 10 days like this. It will still stay applying. So you need to check at this point, which is different from what you have in hybrid, where you just see, okay, application deployment failed, or it worked and you always get in 500 or 403 right now. And that's just a completely different behavior in RTF. Yeah. So.
Very interesting. So I'm guessing when you found out about this, you did not know what was happening.
The first time, not. I needed to actually read the logs now, and when I was looking through it, I saw, okay, there's an issue with the instance ID. Like at the first time, it was not the instance ID was wrong. It was just a different environment now, and it was not connected to the correct one. So that was the issue at this point. But I would say, like in some projects, when you have this issue, it's most of the time is that some component was not successfully started, or the instance ID is wrong. So like you can say, like when the status is applying, it doesn't work. In I would say at least 70% of time, it will be an instance ID issue.
Well, good to know.
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much the biggest part from what I wanted to show you. There's only one other thing I will just say at this point is the object store, which you are used to on the hybrid installation or Cloud Hub. Per default in RTF is not persistent. So you need to use an Postgres database, sorry, or something else which is supported by RTF to actually have your object store persistent and working like even after redeploys, which is necessary for Kubernetes. If you know the concept of Kubernetes, your containers might or might not be redeployed on a different node because of resource issues or upgrades, whatever. So your object store might be lost like after an hour in the worst case. So like think of, if you need the object store persistent, you need to add the persistent object store, which is easy. But I think, yeah, um, it's good to know that you need it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, you're getting a high.
Hello, Emil. Hi.
I feel like you can even create a short post saying like, hey, if you're trying to migrate from hybrid to runtime fabric and you get the applying message, this might be why. And you can just create like a quick post saying, yeah, this is one of the reasons why you have this error.
That's a
Um,
really, really cool idea. I like it. I will actually make a note for myself, and then I will see if I can actually do this. Yeah.
yeah. Or you can create one saying like the summary of what you did here, just
Yeah.
like explaining every single point, and you can point to the video or whatever, or you can just do the short post, whatever is better. It's always good to reuse the content because that way there are different formats of the same
Yeah.
information. So that way, maybe someone likes to read, maybe someone likes to watch videos. So there's a different format for different people. Hello, Kai from Chrono.
Yeah. Hi, Chrono. Yeah. So some of my colleagues are joined, have joined the channel, I guess.
Nice. Make sure to follow us.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say, from
Oh,
my side.
awesome. Hello from Hattingen.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kai. Can I remove your screen now, or are you going to show
Yeah.
something else?
No, you could remove the skin. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was super insightful. I did not know a lot of these things. Like, I have tried RTF before, but maybe just like once with Amazon.
Yeah.
Um, and I had a hard time. Actually, I tried to do my first stream on RTF and I didn't even have any keys or anything. So it was just like 15 minutes of finding out that I didn't have credentials and then
Oh
just
man.
like doing something random. um, but yeah, RTF is so cool. It's just like very misunderstood because you cannot really try it with the free account. So you need like more resources. You need to pay for the accounts if you're using Azure, if you're using Amazon, whatever you're using. So I think that's why people don't get to experiment a lot. But it's great when people come and give us their tips like you just did. So that way if someone gets to this issue they will know what to do and they will love that you created content about it.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no worries. All right, so just a friendly reminder for everyone watching, go follow us on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/mulesoft underscore community. We will be now streaming on all of our channels. That means Twitch and also LinkedIn and Twitter. So you can follow us in any of those channels. We stream Tuesdays at this time, Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern or 3:30 a.m. British Standard Time. So 3:30 p.m. Sorry, British Standard Time. And but all of the recordings are there on the Twitch channel. So if you want to watch any of the previous streams, you can just go there and find them easily. Some of the other ones are on LinkedIn and some are on Twitter, but all of them are on Twitch. So remember to create an account and follow us, and you will receive notifications on your phone as soon as we come live so you can come see us. And that's it. Thank you so much, Kai. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much too. I
Yeah. I hope you can find out what was the issue on the ingress if you try
will
to.
try to. Yeah.
All right. Well, see you then on 2 days on Thursday. Bye.
Awesome. Bye bye.